As you probably know by now, you and your brain are not friends. You remember the old cartoons? We had like the angel on one side and the devil on the other. Your brain is very much like that with you. Whenever you're trying to do something strategically important, got this meeting you got to have, you're trying to say something to your boss and you got it all planned out. And right when you get ready to talk, your brain starts going, we all been there. We all been there. Whether it's dating, public speaking, trying to do anything important, trying to focus when you got a deadline, your brain is forever fighting you. And I'm going to share with you today some of the hacks that I use in order to get control of those situations when they get out of hand. And trust me, it is a work in progress. It is something that is always going on in everybody's brain, like now, and you are not alone. You and everybody else on this planet, regardless of what they tell you, they all have these situations where the brain comes in and tries to be like, look, squirrel. So I'm going to show you some of my hacks that I use. Now, the first thing to understand, first and foremost, your brain is designed to protect you. Most cases, when your brain is trying to stop you from doing what you need to do or have to do, it's trying to protect you from making a fool out of yourself, embarrassing yourself, or feeling, you have a situation where you go somewhere and you feel like you're less than and you feel like you're lost. Your brain is trying to protect you from the loss. So your brain will sometimes sabotage the important things you got to do because, well, if you don't do them, you're kind of protected. So the first thing you need to understand is some of these things you have to do anyway, or you have to make the decision to do so. Remember that our brains are designed to protect us. That's like one of the most important things we really need to understand before we get started. So if you have that, let's dive into some brain hacks. One of my first hacks, and yes, this is going to sound absolutely insane, but trust me, it works. I actually name my demons. Not on mean like the mental demons, but the things that kind of stop me, right? So for instance, in my favorite sandwich shop in Portland, Oregon, has this gigantic sandwich and it's called Not Today, Carol. And it got me to thinking that if you name your habits, if you name your procrastination, if you name your self-doubts, if you name your limiting beliefs, you can make fun of them. So where I got this from is I was once in a training that is called Train the Trainer. And this is where you learn how to do live in-person sort of talks, workshops, and things like this. And they said, that little voice you hear in your head about don't screw this up, anything negative you say to yourself right before you walk on stage, it says to turn that voice into a cartoon voice and put it in your head in the cartoon voice instead of in your head in your own voice. And they're like, okay, stupid, you about to screw this up. It's really hard to pay attention to that when it sounds like Marge Simpson, right? It's really hard to make that stick when it sounds like Jennifer Tilly when she's doing her weird little squeaky voice. And if you can grab hold of that, sometimes it'll even help you identify the person who originally said it to you and how they said it, which sort of started that limiting belief. So if you name your demons, it's easier to deal with them because you can just tell them, no, not today. Shut up. Leave me alone. My grandmother used to have a famous saying, not today, Satan. Similar, right? So if you name your demons, and that's why I call them my mental demons, you can kind of put them away. So whenever I catch, monkey mind trying to get in the way, I'm like, beat it. All right, Lancelot, you got to go, right? Lancelot Link. If you're old enough to remember that, you're old. Now, another thing is when they're pushing really hard, when they're fighting really hard, if you attempt to fight them, you're going to have a lot of stress. So I find sometimes it's best to just walk away from the situation. And I legit take a walk. Like I'll get up, I'll hit the block, I'll go around the block for a minute. Now I live somewhere with great weather and it's pretty much nice outside at all times. So I could just go take a walk. If you can't do that, even if you could just, like if you have a treadmill, stand up and walk 3-4 minutes on the treadmill and try to silence your mind. Try to take out thoughts of whatever you're supposed to be working on. So there's definitely times where I have to do a report for work or make a video for work and my brain is just not having it and it's trying to fight me and it's just going on and on and on. I'm like, okay, gangster. And I just get up and I walk around and that energy, that activation, it is literally a neurochemical thing that gets you ready to do something. So it totally helps. You could just sit still. You could turn off everything, go somewhere quiet and sit still for 2 or 3 minutes. Use the breathe function on your watch if you have one. Use a meditation app on your phone. find a meditation on YouTube. It don't have to be woo-woo meditation. You need something that allows you to sit still and let your brain go quiet for a minute, because a quiet mind just works better. It's one of the reasons why I say journal, because you get things out of your mind. It's easier to get them started again. Now, so in other words, don't attempt to swim upstream. Now, the next one is, I like to have what I call layups. In basketball, it's the shot that's closest to the basket, or like a 2-foot putt in golf. If you could give yourself layup tasks, let's call them gateway tasks, entry-level tasks, that allows your brain to have small wins, then you can get hyped up. You know what I mean? This is why in every movie you've ever seen where someone's supposed to be writing a script or a book or solving a case, they'll be balling up papers and tossing it into the basket in the office. That's one of those tricks. Like you're having little successes every time you throw a paper and it lands successfully in the basket, then you're doing your thing. So that one is really, really helpful. Now, I also believe that if you can focus on one section of whatever it is you're supposed to do, it could be as simple as doing the title, which is why in YouTube we say make the title and thumbnail first. If you can focus on that while you're crafting the title, you're already figuring out different parts of the video as you do that. If you're building the thumbnail first, you're already building parts of that video before you do it. You're planning what you're going to say. You might have your entire outline already written. You might have your whole script already written. But while you're doing this sort of disconnected task, they're not, but sort of disconnected task of creating the title and the thumbnail, maybe even crafting some keywords for the description, your brain's not focused on that. And so sometimes whenever you're supposed to be thinking about one thing, you start thinking about another. Yeah, your brain tends to do that. Well, that sort of helps you out. So just be ready to capture those ideas and make them work for you. Now, it is often helpful if you go slow, because again, when you're trying to rush something, it just doesn't work. And I do understand deadlines come into play. And I know people like me, I work really well under pressure. That's my military training. That's probably some sports training. That's probably some moms in the belt training. But I do pretty decent under pressure. But if you're the type of person that doesn't do decent under pressure, leave yourself room to release the pressure. It's just like a pressure cooker. Like today, I cannot speak, but it's cool. I'm going to do this video anyway. So it's just like a pressure cooker. And if you can find a way to release the pressure, again, for me, walking it is, sitting quiet for a second, do some easy tasks. All of those things kind of help relieve the pressure of the moment of trying to get something to task done right away. And you really need to sort of remind yourself, when you see something difficult, think of it as a game. That's why it's called a game plan, right? If you let your brain see puzzles instead of problems. Now, my coworkers know me very well. I don't see any problems. I just see puzzles, and puzzles needs to get solved. And so my goal is to find a solution. Me and my team talk about this on a regular basis because a lot of them are just trained to see problems. And I'm like, no, we got it. We'll figure it out. Oh, but how can, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out though, right? My brain tends to see everything as a puzzle. And as long as I can keep my brain in that format, I can probably get where I got to go. But the minute I see something as a problem, that's normally a sign that I'm putting the brakes on. So oftentimes when I might say, well, the problem with this is, that's literally me saying no. That is my brain trying to tell you no. And sometimes my team or Mary Lou or Paul or Luis or somebody will talk us through it and we'll get past the no. And okay, I got it. Let's just try it anyway. But my initial roadblock kind of sort of sounds like what the problem with this is, because that's the minute that I saw something as a problem and not a puzzle that can be solved. I'm only catching wind of this now. And I don't even think they know that. That's just something that I think I realize now. Whenever my mouth actually says it's a problem, it's a problem. When the reality is I treat the majority of things that come to me as a puzzle. So if you could treat these things as a puzzle that needs to be solved, you'll do much better than seeing everything as a problem. If you're the type of person that sees everything as a roadblock, you will have a hard time. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try to make you feel better about it. If you are a problem seeker, you will find the living out of problems. Simple as that. Now, I got one right here. It only takes a couple of minutes. Rotate this little sucker here to 25. You can get whichever one you want. I like this one because it rotates and you can set it relatively quickly, right? So I get it over here to like 25. I'll leave it 25, 35 close enough and just go. And sit down and focus on that one thing for 25 minutes. And this means turn off the computer, turn off the phone, go somewhere by yourself, even if you got to sit in the car. Go focus on that one thing for 25 minutes solid. And the reason why, if you can do deep work on any one particular situation for 25 minutes, you'll probably get in about 2 hours worth of distracted work and 25 minutes of good work. If you told yourself, I got to sit down and focus on this for 2 hours, you're going to fight yourself for an hour and a half of it. And I just picked 25 because it's a weird number. Make it 22. You can't lose with 22s. That's what's up. Get your little timer, pop it on, and set that sucker for 22 and spend. Man, I just jumped right past it. There you go. Set it for 22 and spend 22 minutes with it. Tell Siri, tell somebody. I say turn your phone off. I say put your phone away. I say go away from the computer if you can. If you got to be on the computer, be on the computer. But if you legit focus on one thing for that 20 some odd minutes, you'll find out you'll end up doing about 2 to 3 hours worth of work in that same time frame. I'm not even saying you got to get 120 minutes in. As a matter of fact, when the thing goes off, you're not going to want to stop because you're going to be on the roll. But if you say I got 2 hours to work on this, I guarantee you the scrolling and the delusions all happen because it's too wide a scope. It is really too wide a scope. So I was talking to Charles about this in the comments the other day. I tend to ideate with the Sharpie and then refine those ideations with the pencil and then finalize those ideas with the pen because you're just whittling it down. It's the same sort of situation. Is if you were to dump your change drawer on the table, you're going to separate the quarters from the nickels, from the dimes, from the pennies. It's very much kind of the same thing. It's like break it down into smaller chunks. So if you can name your demons, don't try to fight your brain. Don't try to swim uphill. Find a way to be quiet for 2 to 3 minutes. Go for a walk. Focus on one thing and set that 25-minute timer to go slow. Those are some of my brain hacks. Now, I'm curious. Some of y'all got some cool brain hacks too. So share them suckers. Don't hold them to yourself. Don't be selfish. Share your brain hacks in the comments below. And if you have a name for one of your demons, let me know what it is. I'm curious. I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one who names them, okay? I just want to make sure I'm not, so let me know in the comment section below. And you know what I say? I don't know who need to hear this, but if it was you, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, press the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and right about now, the algorithm is going to show you another video they think you should watch, and I agree with them.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in silence to let them